Hi, welcome to Math 115 Business Calculus. Here's a long agenda of all the things I'm going to cover. I won't read this to you, but there is a printout of this PowerPoint available in Beachboard. So we'll start off with what is calculus? It's the study of rates of change that allow you to answer questions such as, how fast is my profit increasing? What price should I charge to maximize my revenue? How do I minimize my costs? How much money will I make if I sell one more item? What happens if I increase the price by $1? In terms of the class structure, there's 3 portions to this class. The first column representing large lecture is where twice a week you will meet with your professor for 50 minutes, about 2 hours combined, and you will be completing your lecture notes, taking exams, and taking the final. In the middle column is where you'll spend 2 hours once a week all together to satisfy your activities requirement. Here's where you'll be doing group work and taking your pen and paper quizzes. Everything on this page will be discussed further as we go. But that's not all there is to class. There's also outside of class, right? The third component. This is a 3-unit class, and if you have 3 units, you're considered to need 2 hours per week per unit, so in our case, 6 hours a week, just to get a C in the class. It's this time outside of class where you will be completing your ALEX online homework, which is WebAssign, your offline homework, and studying for exams. There's also another optional structure for the class that is highly recommended, Math 95. This is an additional 2 hours once a week where you'll be getting extra help and homework and quiz preparation. As a matter of fact, a little more detail that you'll be working in a small group of about 30 students to get that algebra support and practice that you need, but there'll also be reviews for quizzes and exams, study skill discussions, and extra problems. And if you haven't signed up, don't worry, it's not too late. There's still room in this 1 credit pass, no pass, or credit, no credit class with no homework. This is just 2 hours that you know you'll be working to be successful in the class. And here is a snapshot of our spring 2021 calendar. This is available on the content section of Beachboard and the first page of your course packet. Obviously, you know how to read a calendar. I just want to point out a couple key things to keep you on track for the semester. So let's go to the far right column, Sunday, and you'll notice there's a lot of orangish squares. I don't know what color that is, but both Sunday and Thursday are the homework due date. So you have until midnight on Thursday, January 28th, and again until midnight on Sunday, January 31st to finish those particular homework assignments. But what I really want you to focus on is every Thursday and Sunday night you have homework due. You don't need to wait until Thursday or Sunday to do them, and there is a grace period for late credit that can be followed. Some other important things is now look at the far left of this calendar. That gray column that lists each week, you'll notice week 1 is blank, but week 2, you have a quiz and activity. In week 3, you have a quiz and activity. In week 4, you have a quiz and activity. So you'll regularly be taking quizzes in your activities section. Also, if you go down to week 5 and now towards the middle of the calendar, you can see that your first exam for us is going to be on Wednesday, February 17th. This calendar is used for all sections of Math 115, so some of the other classes will be taking their exam on Thursday the 18th. But it lists which sections, and those exams will be taken during large lecture, not during activity. The reason the activity quizzes are in the far left column is that everyone has activity on a different day of the week. The other boxes to point out are those yellow ALEX due dates that we'll be talking about in a few minutes. And of course, there's an upload due this Friday. And again, we'll be going over all of this during the first class session. And here is a grade breakdown of all of the requirements for the semester. Probably looks a little overwhelming because there's quite a few items that contribute to your grade, but this is designed to help you be successful in the class. So starting at the top of the pink table, I don't know what to call that, but basically you will have 3 midterms that combine to be 32% of your grade, but you'll also be taking quizzes in activity, as we just saw on the calendar, almost weekly, that will be 22% of your grade. And then at the end of the semester, there's a 24% cumulative final. And that's where the bulk of the assessment scores are coming from. But the next row says WebAssign. This is the online homework that's due every Tuesday and Thursday that you have 30 attempts to get a perfect score on, which contributes 10% of your grade. Lecture quizzes are just taking notes from lecture and answering a few questions off of information you just copied down. That's 4% of your grade. Activity participation, that's showing up and doing work in your packet, that's 4% of your grade. Alex is making sure your algebra is ready, that's 3% of your grade. And based on our experience in the spring semester, we're starting with a quiz that eases you into taking quizzes. It's worth 1% of your grade. Here is a list of the materials you'll need for this class. The first item is the course packet. This can be purchased through the bookstore for roughly $12. You can have it mailed to your home, or you can come on campus and pick it up. We've asked to have a digital copy available, but the current option does not allow you to write directly into it, and the course packet is actually a workbook where you'll be taking your notes. So we're still seeing if there's a way you could buy the digital copy for the same price, where you'd print it to your tablet and write on that, but that hasn't been determined. The next item is ALEX, which is the online algebra remediation. Perhaps you're familiar with ALEX either through some high school experience or your CSULB portal. Although this is a similar looking ALEX product, you will still need to purchase access, but it's currently set up under the Day 1 Digital Access Program, D1DA, which is a tab in the content section of Beachboard. So the way this works is everybody currently has access to ALEX, and the $23 approximate charge is posted on your CSULB account. If you wanted to opt out of this and forgo the 3% of your grade, there are options that will be discussed after school starts. The third row is WebAssign. That's that weekly homework, again, due every Thursday and Sunday. Have you heard that enough yet? Where you will need to purchase this, unless, of course, you're repeating the course, and we'll talk about course repeating needs in a few moments. But this is the access to get the homework done. You do have a free 2-week trial, and the product costs roughly $70 through the bookstore or $100 directly at the website. You will need a non-graphing calculator, but whatever you have should work. If you don't own a calculator, the $10 to $20 calculator you can find at Staples or Target or Walmart will probably serve you just well in this class. So now let's go ahead and talk about ALEX points and deadlines. If you're looking on the left side of the slide, you'll notice the first arrow points to a quote that says it's all about time management, and that's the big thing with ALEX, saying on top of it. Only the final assignment offers partial credit. So therefore, if you miss any of the first 3 deadlines, there is no option for earning more points. Same goes with late credit. There is no extension, just like there is on WebAssign, to get partial credit for doing something late. And most important, listed at the bottom, are those knowledge checks. Any of you who've done ALEX before, it's an intelligence-based program that tries to verify your knowledge and is repeatedly checking in with you to make sure you still know what you already had certified to have been known. And so what happens is, let's say the way it works is out of a certain number of topics, it'll be 120 for us. And so maybe after your initial knowledge check or your initial assessment, you place at knowing 95 of the 120 topics. The next time you work on it and get a knowledge check, it may say, you know what, we were wrong. You don't actually know those 95 topics as well as we thought. You're now at 80 topics and you need to work to get back up to where you were. So the thing with the knowledge checks is just to watch out, because you're going to get them and people feel like
already been assessed once and they're continually getting assessed, but that's the nature of this program. Looking to the right of this slide, here are the due dates. The very first Friday of school, week 1, all you need to do is take that initial assessment. But again, the better you do on this initial assessment, the less time you're going to have to spend on the program. And you can always come back and stop and start the assessment again, so long as you finish all of it by Friday at midnight. All assignments are due at 11:59 p.m. In the third week, you need to have completed 70 topics, and plenty of you will have completed more than 70 topics with your initial assessment and don't need to worry about that due date, but should continue to work on the program. For those of you who do continue to work on the program, even at some point, if you got set back below 70 topics, by the third week, so long as at one point since school has started, if you had hit 70 or more topics, you will receive full credit for the week 3 assignment that's due on Tuesday, February 2nd. Same goes with week 5. You need to be at least 90 topics at some point, even if you're not presently at 90 topics by week 5. And then on Tuesday, March 2nd, the 7th week of school, all topics need to have been completed. Now, keep in mind a couple things. Number one, this program is only good for 6 weeks, yet it's the beginning of the 7th week where your final due date is. So please do not activate your course before the first day of school. Number 2, we do offer partial credit for the week 7 assignment. None of the assignments allow late work, but week 7 will give you partial credit in the sense that there are 120 topics due, and if you're at 100 topics and feel like you just don't have it in you to get those last 20, you won't get 100%, but you'll still get a good grade.
WebAssign is your online homework that is worth 12% of your grade. Homework problems are used to practice what you've learned in class and prepare you for your quizzes and exams. As we've already seen on the calendar, they are due every Thursday and Sunday at midnight, which would be 11:59 p.m. that day. And you have the first 48 hours after the due date to complete any unanswered problems at 80% of their original value. So let's say there were 10 problems on an assignment and you finished 9 of them by the due date, but you have 1 left unanswered problem. You could just accept the 90% credit, or let's say it was a Thursday homework, you could spend Friday or Saturday completing that last problem to get 98% on your homework. Even though you can't reach 100, you got pretty close. And please note, it is not any 48-hour window you wish. It is only the first 2 days after the due date. So only Friday and Saturday after a Thursday due date, and only Monday and Tuesday immediately following a Sunday due date. And lastly, I'd like to point out, use your online homework as a source to learn and not cheat to get it done. It's easy to just keep answering, typing in numbers until you get the answer right, ask a friend to solve a problem for you, but this is what's preparing you to be successful on the quizzes and exams. The more you understand your WebAssign homework, the better you'll do in the class. Math 115 Business Calculus Course Packet. This is what you'll be writing into at every lecture and every activity section. It's like guided notes. And there's some problems that will only be presented in videos available via Beachboard, so you'll want to be sure to watch for those. The packet also contains offline homework with answers to help prepare you for your quizzes and exams. Anyone repeating this class? If so, you'll want to listen to this. Top left, you do not need to purchase WebAssign. Top right, you do need to purchase Alex again. Bottom left, this means what you'll have to do is opt out, which is opt out of the Day 1 digital program, which unfortunately causes you to opt out of both programs. So you're going to have to purchase Alex separately, but there's information about that in Beachboard. And bottom right, you don't have to buy a new course packet, but I think you may want to. If you didn't pass the class once and you went through the whole class, you might want to start fresh taking new notes. But if you didn't pass because you had to drop after the second week, there's no need to purchase a packet when you have one that's mostly blank. But if you do have a packet with information on it, keep in mind, Each page is single-sided, meaning the back of the pages are blank. So when you're open up to page 5, on the left is the back of page 4, which is blank, and you could take new notes into that and save yourself some time and money. Offline homework. This is going to be your practice writing out your work, just like you will on a quiz and your test, but we'll talk about that piece later. It's kind of like a practice test, but I wouldn't wait to work on it until the test. It's a good way to reiterate the information you've learned in homework. The second column with the house. Some of this work will actually be completed in activity. Those problems indicate to complete during activity, so please don't solve those ahead of time because the activity leader may talk to you about certain things they want you to do while you're working on them, but the rest of the problems you will be doing at home. Again, I suggest you work on it after you complete your web assign for that section if you haven't already completed it, because it really reiterates what you've learned in your online homework. And we've already mentioned that the answers are in the back of the class packet, so you can always check your work. Now, far right item. This is not graded. It is not collected. It doesn't count towards your grade, but this is fantastic preparation for getting a good grade. I know it's easy to think, hey, it's not due, so I won't do it. But when you get a failing grade on a quiz, you might wish you had. You'll also be taking lecture quizzes, which are worth 5% of your grade. After every class, there will be a 4-question quiz to take in Beachboard. You'll see at the top of Beachboard where it says quizzes. The question will ask you to enter information directly from your notes. So if you've taken notes, you may have a question that says, what was the answer to problem 2 on page 48? The whole thing is it's not about understanding the material, but confirming that you've received the information. In this remote learning environment, we feel it's so important to be sure that you're absorbing the lecture material, that we're giving you 5% of your grade for basically proving to us that you've written down your notes. The third row talks about you have until midnight, 11:59 p.m., the day after the lecture to take the quiz. So if you had a Tuesday lecture, not activity, but a Tuesday lecture, you have until Wednesday night to complete the quiz. There is no late work accepted, but if you miss a class, each lecture will be recorded and you can watch that recording to still complete your notes and finish this quiz on time. Activity is worth 4% of your grade. Once a week for 2 hours a day, you will meet with about 30 other students from your large lecture consisting of about 150 students, so this is your small group setting. You will work in these small, even smaller groups, maybe 4 to 5 students, that will be guided by your activity leader to practice the material you've learned in class. Some weeks you will be preparing for your online homework, while other weeks the activity material will reinforce what you've already learned in your online homework. Either way, it's excellent practice for your quizzes and exams, and about every other week, you will be taking a quiz at the beginning of class. So let's discuss those quizzes. Combined, they're worth 24% of your grade. They will be taken during the first 20 minutes of activity, and then you'll have 10 minutes to scan and upload your work to the Beachboard Dropbox. The quizzes will be available to print or view on Beachboard, so you do not need a printer if you don't have one, but you must be logged into Zoom for your quiz to count. And be sure to be logged in on time so there aren't any issues and you get the maximum amount of time to take your quiz. Be ready! Your first quiz is in the second week of class on material covered the first week of activity. This material won't be covered in lecture, it will only be covered in activity in week 1, and then you'll have a quiz in week 2. Exams. They're worth 32% of your grade. These, instead of in activity, will be taken during large lecture at the end of the week. So if you check the calendar for the exact dates, you'll see that if you have a Monday-Wednesday class, your exams will be on Wednesdays. If you have a Tuesday-Thursday class, your exam will be on Thursdays. You will have the whole length of the class, which is 50 minutes for this exam. And again, you'll need to be logged into Zoom for your exam to count. But instead of a paper quiz, a paper test, like you've done in your quizzes in activity, this will be taken using the Beachboard Quizzes feature just like those weekly lecture quizzes that you've been taking. And you'll have 10 minutes following the exam to scan and upload your written work that you used for typing in your answers. Hopefully that's it. If not, it should be covered in your syllabus. But if you have additional questions, please ask your large lecture instructor. Thanks so much for your time, and I know you're going to do great in this class.